In the chilling winter of 1945, an enormous military vessel, the MV Wilhelm Gustloff, embarks on a perilous journey across the icy Baltic Sea. Laden with a human cargo far beyond its capacity, the ship groaned under the weight of desperation and hope. This vessel was not just a ship, it was a floating sanctuary for thousands of German refugees, naval personnel, and wounded soldiers fleeing the horrors of war. The world was in the throes of the Second World War. Europe was a chessboard of conflict and strategy, with nations pitted against each other in a deadly game of power and survival. Amidst this chaos, the MV Wilhelm Gustloff set sail, a beacon of hope for those seeking escape from the relentless advance of the Soviet Red Army. Little did they know, this journey would become a chilling tale of disaster and the largest maritime tragedy in history. As the Gustloff sailed through the icy waters, a hidden menace lay in wait beneath the surface. Unbeknownst to the thousands aboard the Gustloff, they were being stalked, not by a creature of legend or myth, but by a very human and very lethal predator. Beneath the freezing depths of the Baltic Sea, the Soviet submarine S-13 was on the prowl. Commanded by the ruthless and determined Alexander Marinesko, this submarine was far from an ordinary vessel. Marinesko, a man known for his sharp instincts and unyielding resolve, led his crew with an iron fist. His mission? To disrupt and destroy enemy lines, to instill fear in the hearts of his adversaries. The S-13 was a silent hunter, a phantom beneath the waves. It was equipped with the most advanced technology of the time, making it a formidable force. It was a machine of war, designed for one purpose: destruction, and on that fateful day, it had found its prey. The Gustloff, a ship filled to the brim with German civilians, military personnel, and the injured, was in its crosshairs. Marinesko, despite knowing the ship carried non-combatants, saw it as a legitimate military target. In the merciless theater of war, he saw an opportunity to land a significant blow to the enemy. The Soviet captain's resolve never wavered. The Gustloff, in his eyes, was a symbol of the enemy he so despised. He saw the ship not as a vessel carrying innocent lives, but as a manifestation of the war machine he was sworn to dismantle. As the submarine silently stalked its prey, the passengers aboard the Gustloff remained blissfully unaware. They were focused on surviving the harsh winter and the war that had torn their world apart. Little did they know they were sailing towards a danger far more immediate and far more deadly. Under the command of Marinesko, the S-13 lurked in the icy depths, its torpedoes aimed at the heart of the Gustloff. The stage was set for one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. The unsuspecting passengers aboard the Gustloff were sailing straight into the jaws of death. January 30th, 1945, a day that would forever be etched in maritime history. The MV Wilhelm Gustloff, a German military transport ship, was cruising through the icy waters of the Baltic Sea, carrying thousands of German civilians, military personnel, and Nazi officials. Then, out of the depths came a deadly surprise. 3 torpedoes fired from the Soviet submarine S-13 under the command of Captain Alexander Marinesko. The first torpedo struck the bow, the second hit the accommodations for the Women's Naval Auxiliary, and the third ripped through the engine room. The ship, a symbol of German might and pride, was mortally wounded. Panic and chaos immediately ensued. The lights flickered and died as the engine room flooded, plunging the ship into darkness. The blast from the torpedoes had also damaged the ship's lifeboats, making it impossible for many to escape. The icy Baltic winds whipped through the corridors as water rushed in, turning the Gustloff into a frigid tomb. The terrified passengers scrambled for life jackets, for anything that could help them stay afloat in the freezing waters. But there were not enough life jackets, not enough lifeboats. The ship, designed to carry a maximum of 1,466 people, was overloaded with more than 10,000. The ship's crew, unprepared for such a disaster, struggled to maintain order. Their efforts were in vain. As the mighty Gustloff listed heavily to port, people were thrown into the sea, into the icy darkness. Children cried, mothers screamed, soldiers shouted. The sounds of terror echoed through the night, a chilling symphony of despair. The freezing Baltic Sea showed no mercy, claiming lives with ruthless efficiency. In less than an hour, the Gustloff was swallowed by the icy Baltic Sea. The largest maritime disaster in history had just occurred, an event so horrific it would forever overshadow the sinking of the Titanic. But, unlike the Titanic, the story of the Gustloff remains relatively unknown. The chilling tale of the Gustloff, a ship that became a tomb for thousands, is a stark reminder of the horrors of war. In the wake of the Gustloff's sinking, the sea became a graveyard. An eerie silence hung over the icy waters, punctuated only by the wails of the drowning and the desperate. As the ship disappeared beneath the waves, the scale of the catastrophe began to reveal itself. The sea was littered with wreckage, and people, thousands of them, struggling against the biting cold. Rescue efforts were immediate, but the harsh conditions proved a formidable adversary. Ships from the nearby convoy rushed to the scene, their crews working tirelessly to pull survivors from the freezing waters. Despite their best efforts, the death toll was horrifying. Over 9,000 souls were lost in the icy depths that fateful night, making it the deadliest maritime disaster in history. Among those lost were countless women, children, and wounded soldiers, their hopes for survival extinguished in the chilling waters of the Baltic Sea. Yet, amidst the horror, there were survivors, around 1,000 of them. Their stories are haunting reminders of the tragedy. They speak of the chaos, the panic, the numbing cold. They tell tales of loved ones lost and desperate fights for survival. They recount the heart-wrenching sounds of a ship in its death throes and the eerie silence that followed. One survivor, a young woman, spoke of her struggle to stay afloat amidst the wreckage. She clung to a piece of debris, her body numbed by the cold, her heart heavy with the loss of her family. As the hours wore on, she said she could only think of one thing: survival. And survive, she did. But the survivors' ordeal did not end with their rescue. Many were plagued by guilt, trauma, and the haunting memories of that night. For years after, they would wake from sleep, their hearts pounding, the echoes of that night still ringing in their ears. The sunken Gustloff was a chilling testament to the horrors of war. Its ghostly remains resting at the bottom of the Baltic Sea serve as a grim reminder of the human cost of conflict, a reminder of a night when the sea became a graveyard and a ship became a tomb. The sinking of the MV Wilhelm Gustloff remains a grim chapter in world history, largely forgotten and overshadowed by the atrocities of World War II. The Gustloff's tale, despite its chilling record of being the largest maritime disaster ever, is not a story that is often told. Why, you may ask? Well, the answer lies in the timing and context of the catastrophe. Taking place in the final months of World War II, the Gustloff's tragedy was overlooked amidst the chaos, destruction, and heartbreak that was already consuming the world. The ship, loaded with German civilians and military personnel, was seen by many as just another casualty of a brutal war. The loss of life was colossal, yet the world was already numb to the countless lives lost during the conflict. Fast forward to today, the Gustloff's wreck is still submerged in the icy waters of the Baltic Sea. Despite being a grave to thousands, it has not been treated with the reverence often given to such sites. There have been no significant efforts to salvage or protect the wreck. Instead, it has been left to the mercy of the sea, slowly decaying over the decades. The legacy of the Gustloff is a stark reminder of the horrors of war. It's a testament to the countless innocent lives lost, not only in the ship's sinking, but throughout the chaos of World War II. The Gustloff story, though largely forgotten, is a poignant reminder of human suffering and the devastating consequences of global conflict. Despite its obscurity, the Gustloff story holds an important lesson for us all. It reminds us of the value of human life and the importance of remembering the victims of war, not just the victors. It urges us to remember, to learn, and to ensure that such tragedies are not repeated. In the depths of the Baltic Sea, the Gustloff still rests, a silent witness to the world's most devastating maritime tragedy. The tale of the MV Wilhelm Gustloff serves as a stark reminder of the devastating toll of war. Its sinking, a chilling testament to the horrors unleashed during times of conflict, led to the greatest loss of life from a single ship sinking in history. A grim spectacle of over 9,000 lives extinguished in the icy Baltic Sea, most of them innocent civilians and refugees. This poignant narrative underscores the immense value of human life and the immeasurable cost of war. It is a story that should not fade into the murky depths of forgotten history, but rather, it should continue to resonate, serving as a beacon of remembrance. In a world where conflict continues to ripple across nations, the tale of the Wilhelm Gustloff is a potent symbol of the human casualties of war. As we navigate the seas of our own lives, may we never forget the tragic tale of the MV Wilhelm Gustloff.